Hello everyone! Welcome back to our channel US Immigration. We hope you're doing great. Well, in today's video we will be talking about latest immigration news. So to get all the information, pay attention and watch the video through to the end. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for upcoming episodes. So without any further delay, let's jump into the video. Judge leaves temporary block on Biden legalization program for immigrant spouses. A U.S. judge on Wednesday left in place a temporary block on a Biden administration legalization program for immigrant spouses of U.S. citizens. The decision by Texas-based U.S. District Judge J. Campbell Barker maintains a pause on the program through Sept. 23 to allow for legal briefing and a possible hearing. House President Joe Biden's administration opened applications last month for the Keeping Families Together program, which offers a path to citizenship to around 500,000 immigrants who entered the U.S. illegally if they are married to UD citizens. Texas and a coalition of U.S. states with Republican attorneys general sued to end the Biden program, saying it overstepped the executive branch's authority to grant legal immigration status to people who entered unlawfully and circumvented U.S. immigration law. Biden announced the initiative in June before dropping out of the presidential race against Republican Donald Trump, paving the way for Vice President Kamala Harris to become the Democratic nominee. Immigration is a top voter concern heading into the November 5th election. Reuters Ipsos polling shows Keeping Families Together provides a path to citizenship to immigrant spouses who entered the U.S. illegally and have at least 10 years of residence. Without this option, many would need to leave the U.S. for years before being able to return legally. The program also allows some 50,000 children under age 21 with a U.S.-citizen parent to obtain temporary parole status that creates a path to citizenship. America First Legal, an organization led by Trump advisor Stephen Miller, served as co-counsel in the lawsuit alongside Texas and 15 other states with Republican attorneys general. Biden administration weighs making it harder to end asylum crackdown at border. The Biden administration is debating changes that would make it harder to lift the sweeping asylum restrictions it enacted in June, drafting plans to alter the criteria that would be used to deactivate the strict border measure, two Department of Homeland Security officials told CBS News. The proposed changes concern a proclamation issued in early June by President Biden that has effectively shut down access to the American asylum system for migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border illegally. Officials have credited the crackdown, the most restrictive asylum policy by a Democratic president, for a 4-year low in unauthorized border crossings. Mr. Biden's partial asylum ban included a deactivation trigger, in which the policy would be discontinued if the 7-day average of daily illegal border crossings fell below 1,500. Under the proposed changes, the asylum restrictions would only be deactivated if the 7-day average of unlawful border crossings stay below 1,500 for 28 days, the DHS official said, requesting anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. Catholic diocese sues US Gov. Worried some foreign-born priests might be forced to leave. For more than a year, religious organizations have lobbied Congress and the Biden administration to fix a sudden procedural change in how the government processes green cards for religious workers, which threatens the ability of thousands of them to continue to minister in the United States. The Catholic Diocese of Paterson, New Jersey, and 5 of its priests whose legal status in the United States expires as soon as next spring have now sued the federal agencies overseeing immigration. They argue that the change will cause severe and substantial disruption to the lives and religious freedoms of the priests, as well as the hundreds of thousands of Catholics they serve. Our priests feel we're doing the best we can, said Bishop Kevin Sweeney, whose diocese covers 400,000 Catholics in 107 parishes in 3 New Jersey counties. Paterson is the first diocese to bring this suit against the Department of State, Department of Homeland Security, and the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, said Raymond LaHoude, its attorney in the lawsuit. But there is a buzz out there among similarly impacted religious groups, LaHoude added, because of how reliant many are on foreign-born clergy who build strong ties in their U.S. parishes. It's so disruptive, said Bishop Mark Seitz, who chairs the Committee on Migration for the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. The group has advocated for legislative and administrative fixes because the newly extra-long delays in green card processing are not sustainable. In his own border diocese of El Paso, Texas, Seitz is facing the possibility of losing priests whose permanent residency cases now have little chance to be approved before their visas expire. The law mandates them to leave the United States for at least a year. One is pastor of a large, growing parish. Now I'm supposed to send him away for a year, put him on ice as it were, and somehow provide masses, Seitz said. to deal with the shortage of religious workers that has worsened in recent decades. American dioceses have long had agreements with foreign dioceses to bring in seminarians, priests and nuns from places as different as Poland, the Philippines and Nigeria, said the Reverend Thomas Gaunt of Georgetown University's Center for Applied Research in the Apostolate. Most other faith denominations from Buddhism to Islam to Pentecostal Christians also recruit foreign-born clergy for reasons ranging from the need to minister to growing non-English-speaking congregations to specialized training at foreign institutions steeped in a religion's history. Most such religious workers in the U.S. government's definition come under temporary visas called R1, which allow them to work in the United States for 5 years. That used to be plenty enough for an organization to assess if the clergy were in fact a good fit, and then petition for permanent resident status known as green cards for them under a special category called EB-4. Congress establishes a maximum number of green cards available per year per category, which is generally either based on types of employment or family links to us citizens. The wait time depends on whether and by how much the demand exceeds the visas available in each category. Citizens of countries with especially high demand get put in separate, often longer lines. Currently, the most backlogged category is for the married Mexican children of U.S. citizens, where only applications filed more than 24 years ago are being processed. Neglected or abused minors from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, a surging number of whom have sought humanitarian green cards or asylum after illegally crossing into the U.S. since the mid-2010s, were also in a separate line. But in March 2023, the State Department announced that was a mistake and immediately started adding them to the general queue with the clergy. That's created a backlog that currently stands at more than 3.5 years and could increase. Some estimate it could take 10 to 15 years to get these green cards. This is an untenable situation, said Lance Conklin, who co-chairs the religious workers group of the American Immigration Lawyers Association and often represents evangelical pastors. The lawsuit is representative of the way a lot of people feel. The Lawyers Association, together with the Bishops' Conference and other organizations, has been lobbying for long-term congressional fixes which most recognize will be hard to obtain given the political sensitivity of immigration reform, as well as simpler administrative changes that the agencies could implement quickly. Among those, attorneys and advocates say would be allowing applicants to change ministry jobs, moving from associate pastor to senior pastor, or relocating to a different convent, for example, without losing their place in the green card line. Or the government could reduce the time they need to spend outside the United States after their visa expires before they can get another one. We could deal with a month, Seats said, while the current required time is 12 months. Most organizations are staying the course for now, hoping and praying that the administration will make at least these temporary fixes, perhaps nudged by the lawsuit filed in August in U.S. District Court in New Jersey. That's largely because they don't have other options. Different employment visas and green cards are far more laborious and expensive to apply for, and many clergy don't qualify. For instance, those not receiving any salary cannot show they're being offered prevailing wages, one of the requirements meant to protect U.S. native workers in non-religious employment categories. That's often the case for Catholic nuns, said Mary O'Leary, a Michigan attorney who represents religious orders. A lot of religious orders are not wealthy, she said. They're not like Microsoft. You can't go to a business school or computer science school and recruit. In the Archdiocese of Chicago, a nun who works as a school aide has to leave the country when her visa expires in a couple of weeks, said Olga Rogias, the Archdiocese's senior counsel for immigration. This principle is so devastated, Rogias said, adding that across the U.S. religious workers have already been forced to leave. They want to stay and finish their work. In some cases, their organizations are trying hard to bring the religious workers back from overseas, said Miguel Naranjo, the director of Religious Immigration Services for Catholic Legal Immigration Network. It's beyond ministry, Naranjo added, because they often provide education, healthcare, youth, and other social services. They're the last safety net of many communities. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take care.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Channel US Immigration. We hope you're doing great. Well, in today's video, we'll be talking about latest immigration news. On Wednesday, US District Judge J. Campbell Barker extended a temporary block on the Biden administration's Keeping Families Together program, designed to offer citizenship pathways to undocumented immigrant spouses of US citizens. This block will remain in place through September 23. Pending further legal discussions, the program launched in June 2024 aims to provide around 500,000 undocumented immigrants who have resided in the US for at least 10 years and are married to US citizens are a way to legalize their status. Additionally, approximately 50,000 children under the age of 21 with at least one US citizen parent would be eligible for temporary parole status, paving the way for citizenship. The program, introduced shortly before President Biden dropped out of 2024 presidential race, has faced significant opposition from Texas and a coalition of Republican-led states. They argue that the Biden administration has overstepped its executive authority and bypassed established immigration laws. The lawsuit is also backed by America's first legal and organization founded by Trump's advisor Stephen Miller, which argues the program unlawfully circumvents Congress' control over immigration policy. Without this program, immigrant spouses may have to leave the US for extended periods, often years, before applying to re-enter the country legally. The future of this initiative is now uncertain as the legal battle continues, with opponents pushing for the program's permanent termination. Immigration continues to be a hot-button issue ahead of the upcoming November election, with both legal and policy frameworks under close scrutiny. Republican candidate Donald Trump has heavily criticized Biden's immigration policies, while Vice President Kamala Harris is now expected to be the Democratic nominee in the upcoming presidential race. The outcome of this legal battle will have significant implications not only for the individuals directly affected but also for the broader US immigration system, which remains as a key focus for voters as the election nears. As the legal proceedings progress, all eyes are on the court's next step in determining the fate of Keeping Families Together program.